What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that summons out one of the most powerful ritual monsters ever created. This deck OTKs like crazy, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification become part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. This card is a crazy powerful boss monster that has the ability that it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict double piercing damage to your opponent. Meaning, if this card attacks into a 0 defense position monster, it will instantly OTK your opponent, inflicting 8,000 points of damage to your opponent, which is absolutely insane. We then play 2 copies of Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon. Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon is an awesome boss monster to summon beside your copy of Chaos Max because this card makes it so you can OTK with Chaos Max so easily. As this card also shares an ability just like your copy of Chaos Max that your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and also it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, but this card gets a bonus effect if it's ritual summoned using a Blue Eyes White Dragon, that when it declares an attack, you can change the battle positions of as many monsters that your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, the attack and events of those monsters changed by this effect become 0. Also, this turn, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. But that's an amazing ability to attack with this card first, change the battle positions of all your opponent's monsters, drop something down to 0 in defense position, and then swing in with Chaos Max to end the game. We then play 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. This card is what we use with advanced ritual art to be able to summon out our copy of Blue Eyes Chaos Max and Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon, but you can also use Chaos Form to be able to banish this card from the graveyard to be able to summon out our copy of our ritual monsters. We then play 2 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Alternative White Dragon is just a really good 2-of in the deck to be able to just reveal this card in your hand, to be able to reveal a copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon as well in your hand, to be able to special summon this card out to your side of the field, and it also becomes Blue Eyes White Dragon while it's on the field or in the graveyard, which is an amazing effect for this card to have, and once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it, but this card cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. We then play 3 copies of Chozoro the Trillion Hands. This card is just amazing as a 3-of because this card on summon has the ability to add a ritual monster and a ritual spell from your deck to your hand. I love Trillion Hands in this deck because this card helps out so much that basically you just tribute any monster to normal summon this card out to the field, and this card is actually the only normal summon in the entire deck that we play, and this card is just really good overall because if this card is summoned, you just get to add a ritual monster and a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, so you can search out something like advanced ritual art and a copy of Chaos Max from your deck to your hand, which is just insane. We then play 3 copies of Alpha Thubin. We do play a Drytron package in the deck because it's actually the best way to be able to search out basically our ritual monsters and our ritual spells in this particular deck. Plus, since they do special summon themselves, we don't have to actually normal summon them, so it makes it so we can summon out our copy of Trillion Hand to our side of the field, which is amazing. Now, all of your Drytron monsters in the main deck share a common effect that they cannot be normal summoned or set. They must be special summoned by the effect of a Drytron card, and you contribute one of their Drytron monster or a ritual monster from your hand or field to special summon this card from your hand or your graveyard in defense position. Then you get a special bonus ability, which for your copy of Alpha Thubin has the ability to let you add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect. We then play 3 copies of Zeta. Zeta is definitely a 3-of as well because this card has the ability to let you add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand when this card is summoned, which is just really, really cool. We then play 2 copies of Gamma. Gamma is really good in this deck as a 2-of as well because it gives you 2 monsters on your side of the field. As if this card is summoned, you can then special summon a Drytron monster with 2,000 attack from your graveyard to your side of the field, which just gives you an additional monster on the field so you can make an XZ play or link them both away, which is just really, really nice. We then also play a single copy of Delta. Delta is great as a 1-of in the build because this card helps us draw. With the ability, if this card is special summon, you can actually reveal a ritual monster or a ritual spell in your hand, and then you get to draw a card, which is just an amazing ability just to help us dig into the deck for more combo pieces. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Drytron Fafnir. Fafnir is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card has the ability, when it's activated, you add a Drytron spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is always going to search out either a copy of our Drytron Ritual spell or Drytron Nova. We then play a single copy of Meteonis Drytron. This card is just a really good ritual spell that we can use in the deck to be able to summon out our ritual monsters. This card is really amazing because this card can be used to ritual summon any ritual monster from our hand or graveyard, but you must also tribute machine monsters, which is our Drytron monsters, from your hand or field whose total attack, not level, equals or exceeds the attack of the ritual monster you're attempting to ritual summon, meaning you're going to tribute 2 Drytron monsters to be able to summon out a copy of Chaos Max or Chaos Dragon, which I'm only ever summoning out the copy of Chaos Max off this card's ability because I want to be able to summon the copy of Chaos Dragon off the copy of a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is why we use Chaos Form or Advanced Ritual Art. We then play 2 copies of Chaos Form. Chaos Form is amazing to help us ritual summon out our monsters because this card not only lets us ritual summon out monsters by using basically Blue Eyes White Dragon as a material, but we can also banish Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard to summon out our monsters, which is really good to give us an additional summon, which is just absolutely amazing. We then play 3 copies of Advanced Ritual Art. Advanced Ritual Art is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card lets us send a Blue Eyes White Dragon from our deck to the graveyard to be able to ritual summon out a copy of one of our monsters, which is just amazing because we don't want to be able to draw into copies of Blue Eyes. We want to send them to the graveyard of Advanced Ritual Art so that we can go in for our plays. We then play 3 copies of Drytron Nova. This card is basically E-Telly for our Drytron monsters with the ability to let us special summon any Drytron monster we want from our deck, but destroyed during the end phase. It's basically just additional Drytron names. I absolutely love this card in the deck to be able to just instantly special summon a Drytron monster to my side of the field to guarantee a name on the field, so we can just basically use whatever other Drytron we have in the hand to be able to tribute that monster and then go in for our plays. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Cyber Emergency is basically Rhoda for our Drytron monsters because we want to play basically as many Drytrons as possible to be able to get to them. So our copies of Drytron Nova and this card basically give us our Drytron Alpha, Thuban, and Zeta at 9 in this deck. So we're always going to be able to get to them because this card is able to let us add a Light Machine monster that can be normal summoner set from our deck to our hand, which is our Drytron monsters, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of the Melody of Awakening Dragons. Melody is really good because this card can search out any of our dragon monsters because it lets us discard a card and then add up to 2 dragon type monsters with 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense from our deck to our hand, meaning Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, Chaos Max, and our Chaos Dragon are all searchable off this card, which is just absolutely amazing. And since our Drytron monsters can actually special summon themselves from the graveyard off their effects, you can usually discard those cards to be able to pay the cost for this card's ability, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of my really spicy tech card in this deck, and that's going to be 3 copies of Xian's Spy. So this card is really insane in the deck because it lets you give control of one of your monsters to your opponent. And since all of our Drytron monsters have 0 defense points, you can basically just hand your opponent a Drytron monster because they have 0 defense points and they summon themselves in defense position. So you just hand them a Drytron monster and you don't even worry about it because then you can swing it with Chaos Max and you win the game, which is amazing. I love that about this card, and it's so cool to be able to just instantly hand our opponent a Drytron monster and win the game because you can just swing into it. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Mu Beta Fafnir. Mu Beta Fafnir is really good because when this card is XZ summon, it lets us send a Drytron card from our deck to the graveyard, which just helps us get the exact name we want in the graveyard so we can summon it back. We then play a single copy of Assembled Nightingale. Assembled Nightingale is how we make Zeus, because you just use 2 of your Drytron monsters to make this card, making it super easy to summon out our Drytron, or basically just to OTK and summon out a copy of Zeus, using 2 Drytron monsters to make this card swing directly, then overlay it with a copy of Downer Magician, and then once you do, you make a copy of Zeus during the main phase 2 to board wipe the field. We also play a single copy of Number 97. Number 97 is really good in the deck as a 1-of, as this card either lets us summon out a copy of Number 38, which is a spell negate, which is really nice, or a copy of number 100. Number 100 is amazing in this deck as a 1-up to basically just summon it as a 9,000 attack point boss monster to swing in an OTK. We then play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is really good in this deck as a 1-up because this card is really good to basically just use this card as a board wipe because you can make it on top of basically anything right here, which is really nice. Usually it's a simple Nightingale and then Downer Magician, but you do have a couple of different options. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's amazing to be able to pop multiple cards on the field and it comes out absolutely massive in the deck. You rarely summon it, but it's a really good option. We play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, one copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is optional. You don't have to play this card. You can play a copy of Nightmare Phoenix instead to be able to pop spells and traps, but it is a really good option if you have it, because this card is a double interruption. We then play a single copy of Geonator. Geonator is amazing because this card lets us switch the positions of monsters on the field. It lets us give our opponent a monster this card points to, and we take a monster our opponent controls and gives it to the zones, basically switching the monsters in the zones, which is just really, really cool. We then play a single copy of IP. IP lets us go in for SP Little Knight or a copy of Nightmare Unicorn during the opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep's amazing because we do ritual summon this deck, which lets us draw 2 and then discard 2, which is just really nice. One copy of Relinquished Anima. Anima is really good because if your opponent doesn't play around the copy of Anima, we get to gobble up a monster it points to. And then finally play a single copy of Linkribo because all of our Drytron monsters are level 1 and we can link them away for this card, giving us a little bit of protection. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's really fun to be able to play. It's super easy to OTK your opponent, and there are definitely going to be test hands on the way for this deck. So definitely check those out and when they hit the channel because they're going to be absolutely crazy, and I'm really excited to show you guys them. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.